Oh, hello there, it's John from Barefoot Accounting. I thought I'd answer a question today I quite often get from people who are thinking about starting a company or already have. And it's a question of, well, what do they actually need to do that now they're a director? You know, because you've got all these various responsibilities or such like as a director, owner, shareholder of a company. So what do you need to do? I'll try and split this into a few sections. Now, firstly, there's the administrative side of it all. Now that's, as well as not so easy to say, involves the fact that a company is a separate legal entity to yourself. Now this has a few knock-on effects. From a tax perspective, it's separate. From a legal perspective, it's separate. So it'll need a separate bank account. Unless it's dormant, because some people do set up the companies just to have them ticking away in the background to say save the name for later. If that's the case, don't do a bank account, because then it will no longer be dormant as soon as you get any interest. The other one is insurance. So I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of that because I'm in no way an expert. But, you know, professional indemnity, if you've got employees, that kind of thing. So that's something to check out. The other one, which I mentioned in another video, is getting money out of the company, because any money that the company makes is not your money. So you need to kind of think about how you take it out. You know, it can be as tax efficient as possible. Whatever you do, you need to go through a tax system to get it out, whether it's either as a shareholder via dividends or whether it's through payroll. Okay, so that's more the administrative sides of it all. As for the dreaded deadlines and everything, there's two main organisations you're going to have to report to. The first one is Companies House and the second is HMRC. So for Companies House, there are really two things you're going to have to do. The first one is a confirmation statement. Now this is basically a way of letting them know that the information they have is all present and correct. You only have to do it once a year. However, you have about 2 weeks to actually get it filed. So it's a really quick job, but you do have to do it, and you have to be quite quick off the mark. Otherwise, you know, it doesn't look so good on Companies House when it's starting to say there's warnings and this is late. And if it carries on being late, they'll strike you off. Okay, so basically get on top of that. There is a fee for doing this, and it's done annually, or has to be done within 12 months of the last confirmation statement. If you do more than one confirmation statement in a year, the second one's free. Why you might want to do that is because sometimes, because the first one's based on when you incorporated your company, you don't want to, you might find that the date of that is different to when your annual accounts are due, and it just kind of confuses people having more dates to worry about. So that's your confirmation statement. There's also the other thing, you're meant to update things throughout the year, so particularly, you know, persons of significant control. I might talk about that later if anyone's interested. And the other main submission you need to do is your annual accounts. Now they're due 9 months after your year end, and you can select whatever date you want for your year end. The thing is, you do have to get them in on time. You know, if it's late, you get a fine. If it's more than 1 month late, you get a bigger fine. And if it's more than 3 months late, the fine sort of increases even more, so it gets quite pricey. So if I were you, just get it done. You have to do that even if you've not done any trading. So there's a simpler, scaled down way of doing this. I'll just let this guy get past because it'll be a bit awkward otherwise. Yeah, there's a scaled way down of doing it if you are a dormant company, but you still need to do it. So that's Companies House, basically confirmation statement and annual accounts. Now HMRC, you will need to do a corporation tax return. Now that, again, that's a bit bizarre. The payment is due 9 months after your year end, but the actual tax return isn't due for 12 months after your year end. That's to do with directors' loans and things, because, you know, just the timing of it all. You might not actually have all the information till 9 months have passed, so that's why you've got that little bit extra time. You do need to do this, unless HMRC have been notified that you don't need to do a corporation tax return, you do need to do it. And this is something that catches people out, because quite often people have a dormant company, think, okay, I've made no money, no profit, I don't need to do a corporation tax return. You do. So unless they're notified that you're exempt. Then also every other tax you do, it has to be registered separately. So payroll, you'll need to do that separately. VAT, you need to do that separately. I might go through some of the ins and outs of that later on. Okay, I hope that makes some kind of sense and gives you a bit of a general idea of what needs to be done. But basically, it's a separate entity, so you're going to need a new bank account, consider insurance, company's house, confirmation statement, and annual accounts, HMRC, corporation tax return, and any other taxes that you might be eligible for, such as VAT, payroll, and the like. Cheers now, bye.